The ocean shimmered like crushed sapphires under the afternoon sun. Malik leaned against the taxi window, watching palm trees sway lazily as the car wound through the streets of Santamar, a tropical paradise he and his wife, Tasha, had dreamed of visiting for years. "This is it, babe," he said, squeezing her hand. "Our first real vacation in what, 5 years?" "6," Tasha corrected, flashing a smile. "And no work calls, no emails, just us." The taxi pulled up to the Azure Palms Resort, a 5-star retreat perched on a white sand beach. The building exuded luxury. Massive glass windows reflected the ocean, and a towering archway led to an open-air lobby filled with the scent of hibiscus and salt. A young bellhop hurried to open the car door, his smile warm and genuine. "Welcome to Azure Palms. Let me get your bags." Tasha stretched, breathing in the tropical air. "It's perfect," she murmured. But Malik felt it the moment they stepped inside. A shift, a subtle but undeniable change in energy. Behind the marble front desk stood a middle-aged white man in a crisp linen suit. His name tag read, Richard Whitmore, General Manager. He was speaking to a white couple, his face animated with polite charm. But as Malik and Tasha approached, his expression stiffened. His gaze flicked over them. Malik's deep brown skin, his neatly trimmed beard, Tasha's dark curls cascading over her shoulders. A second too long. A moment of hesitation. Then the smile. Tight. Forced. "Welcome," Whitmore said, his voice smooth but distant. "Checking in?" Malik slid their passports across the desk. "Yes, Malik and Tasha Carter. Booked the honeymoon suite." Whitmore barely glanced at the passports before typing into the computer. "Ah," he said, "the honeymoon suite." Something about the way he repeated it made Tasha shift uncomfortably. "Problem?" Malik asked. Whitmore's fingers hovered over the keyboard. "It's just that—" He let out a sigh, feigning regret. "There seems to have been an issue with the reservation. The honeymoon suite isn't available." Tasha's face fell. "But we booked months ago." "I understand," Whitmore said, though he didn't sound sorry. "Unfortunately, a VIP guest extended their stay last minute. We had no choice but to accommodate them." Malik's jaw clenched. "So, what now?" "We do have a lovely garden view room available," Whitmore offered. "Smaller, but still quite nice." Malik exchanged a look with Tasha. The garden view rooms were half the price of what they'd paid. "And the price difference?" Malik asked. Whitmore's smile tightened. "Resort policy states that last-minute changes due to guest extensions are not subject to refunds." Malik exhaled slowly. This man thinks we're stupid. Tasha touched his arm. "Let's not start our trip with an argument," she whispered. "We'll sort it out later." Whitmore slid the keycards across the counter. "Enjoy your stay." As they followed the bellhop to their downgraded room, Malik stole one last glance back at the front desk. Whitmore was already laughing with another couple. White, just like the last ones. His posture was relaxed again, his expression easy. Malik turned away, his stomach twisting. Their vacation had just begun, but something told him this wasn't the last time Richard Whitmore would make them feel unwelcome. The garden view room was a joke. The air conditioning rattled like an old truck engine. The garden was a patch of overgrown shrubs, and instead of ocean waves, Malik and Tasha were serenaded by the hum of the resort's industrial-sized laundry machines just outside their window. "This is bull," Malik muttered, tossing his suitcase onto the bed. Tasha sat on the edge, running a hand through her curls. "I know, but we're not letting him ruin our trip. We'll go back in the morning and demand a refund for the downgrade." Malik exhaled through his nose, pacing. He hated this feeling, the quiet, calculated way Whitmore had dismissed them. He'd dealt with men like him before, men who smiled as they stole from you, men who made sure they kept their hands clean while you walked away, questioning if you were just imagining things. He wasn't imagining it, and he wasn't about to let it slide. The next morning, the resort glowed in golden sunlight. The beach was alive with tourists sipping cocktails under thatched umbrellas. Malik and Tasha stepped into the cool lobby, their resolve firm. Whitmore was at the front desk, his polite mask already in place. When he saw them approach, his smile barely flickered. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, he said smoothly. I trust your accommodations are satisfactory? You know they're not, Malik said. You overbooked our suite and refused to refund the difference. We want what we paid for. Whitmore let out a theatrical sigh as if dealing with children. As I explained, resort policy— Forget the policy, Tasha interrupted, voice sharp. You downgraded us and gave the better room to someone else. We deserve compensation. A shadow crossed Whitmore's face, just for a second. I understand your frustration, he said, voice laced with condescension, but I assure you, the decision had nothing to do with you personally. There it was, that unspoken you people hanging in the air. Malik folded his arms. Then let us see the records. Whitmore blinked. Excuse me? Show us the records, Malik said. The VIP guest who got our suite, who extended their stay. Let's see the proof. Whitmore chuckled dryly. I'm afraid guest information is confidential. Convenient. A pause, a flicker of irritation in Whitmore's gaze. Then, as if on cue, a white couple strolled up to the desk. The man, tanned and wearing designer sunglasses, smiled at Whitmore like an old friend. Morning, Richard. The suite is just incredible. Whitmore's mask cracked, just slightly as he smiled back. Mr. Lancaster, I'm so pleased you're enjoying your stay. Malik and Tasha exchanged a look. Whitmore had just given away the truth. He hadn't moved them for a VIP. He'd moved them for someone who looked like him. Malik took a step forward, his voice low. That was our room, wasn't it? Whitmore's jaw tightened. I believe we're done here. Tasha pulled at Malik's arm. Come on. But Malik didn't move. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. He saw it so clearly now, the way Whitmore had dismissed them, the way he'd smiled so effortlessly at Lancaster, how he never even considered them worthy of the same treatment. The ugly truth was right there, and Whitmore didn't even care that they saw it. Malik turned to leave, his hands clenched at his sides, but as they walked away, Whitmore's voice followed, smooth as silk. If you have any further complaints, feel free to take them up with management, he said. Oh wait, that's me. Malik stopped. Tasha grabbed his arm. Baby, don't. Whitmore just smiled, a slow, satisfied smile. Malik let out a long breath. Not now, but something inside him knew. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. 3. The tension sat heavy in Malik's chest, pressing like a stone. They had tried to brush it off, tried to salvage the trip. They went for a swim, let the ocean hold them for a while. They walked through the town, ate street food, let the rhythm of the island calm their nerves. The scent of jerk chicken, fresh mangoes, and sea salt filled the air as they wandered through bustling markets where vendors called out in a mix of English and Creole. For a moment, Malik had almost felt like himself again. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw Whitmore's smug face. Every time he breathed in, he remembered his voice. Oh wait, that's me. It wasn't just the room, it was the way he did it. The ease, the certainty that there'd be no consequences. And Malik wasn't the kind of man to let things go. That evening, Tasha convinced him to go to the resort's beachside dinner. We're not giving that man the power to ruin this for us, she had said, standing in front of him in their cramped garden view room. We deserve to enjoy our trip. Malik had sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. Tasha, I don't know if I can just sit there and pretend like nothing happened. She walked up to him, placing her hands on his chest. You can. We can. We've fought for everything in our lives, Malik. We fought to get good jobs, to afford this trip, to be here. And now he's going to take our piece too? She shook her head. No, we're going to dinner. We're going to eat the best food, drink the best wine, and let that man see he didn't break us. Her eyes burned with determination, and Malik exhaled slowly. She was right. So they dressed up, Malik in a crisp linen shirt, Tasha in a flowing sundress, and walked down to the private beach where tables were set under glowing lanterns. The sky had deepened into hues of violet and orange, and the ocean lapped gently against the shore, a quiet rhythm beneath the soft hum of conversation. It should have been beautiful, should have been peaceful. But then, Of course you're here, a voice drawled. Malik turned. Whitmore. The man stood at the bar, sipping a cocktail, his gaze flicking over them with something between amusement and irritation. Beside him, Mr. Lancaster, the man in their honeymoon suite, chuckled under his breath, swirling his whiskey in a crystal glass. Malik clenched his jaw. "We paid to be here, same as you." Whitmore took a slow sip, his eyes never leaving Malik's. "That's the thing about places like this," he said. "Some people just fit in better than others." Tasha's grip on Malik's arm tightened. "Let's go." But Malik's feet stayed rooted. Whitmore smirked. "Something on your mind?" Malik could feel the heat creeping up his neck. He could hear the blood rushing in his ears. Then Lancaster chuckled again, taking a lazy sip of his drink. "You know how it is, Rich. Some folks just don't know their place." A slow, simmering rage coiled in Malik's chest. His whole life he had dealt with men like this. In college, the professor who always assumed he was cheating when he aced his exams. At work, the executive who mistook him for the valet. The security guard who followed him in a high-end store. The bank teller who took an extra long time verifying his ID when he applied for a loan. It was always subtle, always just enough for plausible deniability. But this was naked. This was open. This was a slap to the face wrapped in expensive cologne and linen suits. Whitmore and Lancaster weren't just insulting him. They were daring him, and Malik was tired of walking away. Before he even realized what he was doing, his fist connected, a sharp crack of knuckles against bone. Whitmore stumbled back, clutching his jaw, eyes wide with shock. A collective gasp rippled through the beachside dining area. Tasha grabbed Malik's arm. "Baby, what did you—" Lancaster shot to his feet. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Whitmore straightened slowly, touching his jaw where Malik's punch had landed. He looked at the blood on his fingertips, then up at Malik and smirked. That was when Malik knew. He had walked straight into their trap. A commotion. The sound of security rushing toward them. A blur of uniforms. The flash of a resort logo on navy blue shirts. "Sir, you need to come with us." Malik barely had time to register what was happening before strong arms grabbed him from behind. "Wait," Tasha said, stepping between them. He assaulted a guest," Whitmore interrupted, his voice laced with mock concern. "We have zero tolerance for violence at Azure Palms." Malik turned to look at him, breathing hard. "You set me up." Whitmore dabbed at his split lip, grinning. "I have no idea what you mean." The security guards tightened their grip. "Sir, you need to leave the premises." Leave? They were kicking him out? After what Whitmore had pulled, Malik looked around, searching the crowd, looking for anyone who might speak up. But all he saw were uncomfortable stares, averted eyes, people shifting in their seats, suddenly fascinated by their dinner plates. Silence. The same silence that always followed moments like this. Malik felt his stomach drop. This wasn't just about a hotel room. It was about power. Whitmore had all of it. And Malik? Malik was just another black man being dragged away for causing trouble. Tasha stepped closer, voice shaking. "Where is he supposed to go? We paid for this resort." "The hotel will refund your remaining nights," Whitmore said smoothly. "And I'll even waive the early departure fee." The audacity, the fake generosity. Malik clenched his fists again. Whitmore smirked. "Unless you'd rather have local authorities get involved." Malik went still. He glanced at Tasha, who swallowed hard. The implication hung heavy in the air. The local police, in a foreign country. Malik had heard enough stories. He exhaled slowly, unclenching his hands. Whitmore's smile widened. "Smart choice." Tasha turned to the guards, voice sharp with anger. "We'll leave, but trust me, you haven't heard the last of this." Whitmore simply chuckled. As Malik and Tasha were escorted off the resort grounds, the warm breeze felt different now, less like paradise, more like exile. And as they walked into the night, Malik knew one thing for sure: this wasn't over. 4. The night air was thick with humidity as Malik and Tasha stood outside the resort gates, their suitcases at their feet. Beyond the grand entrance, the Azure Palms Resort glowed under the warm lights, looking as untouched and pristine as ever. Inside, guests sipped cocktails, laughed over candlelit dinners, and continued their vacations as if nothing had happened. As if Malik and Tasha had never existed. Tasha let out a slow breath, hands on her hips. So, what now? Malik ran a hand down his face, his mind racing. We're not letting him get away with this. Tasha let out a bitter laugh. And what do you want to do? Storm back in? Call the police? Malik stared at the resort entrance, jaw tight. No. I want to hit him where it hurts. Tasha's eyes narrowed. Meaning? Malik pulled out his phone and started typing. They checked into a small beachfront inn a few miles away. It was nothing like the Azure Palms, no marble floors, no infinity pools, no five-star service. But the owner, an elderly local woman named Maria, greeted them with warmth and kindness, bringing them fresh coconut water and snacks the moment they arrived. You don't look like the usual tourists, she said, studying them. You look troubled. Malik forced a smile. We had a bad experience at another resort. Maria sighed knowingly. Let me guess. Azure Palms? Tasha and Malik exchanged a look. Maria shook her head. You're not the first. Won't be the last. That was all Malik needed to hear. He barely slept that night, hunched over his phone, typing furiously. First, he detailed everything that had happened. The sweet switch, the dismissive attitude, the racial undertones, the smug way Whitmore had orchestrated their removal. Then, he went further. He searched online, digging through reviews of the Azure Palms, and what he found made his blood boil. A pattern. Dozens of reviews from black and brown travelers mentioning subtle discrimination, downgraded rooms, rude treatment, even security confrontations. It had always been there. It just hadn't been loud enough. Yet. Malik crafted the perfect post. A long, searing account of their experience, paired with screenshots of similar complaints. He posted it everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, travel forums. He tagged travel influencers, journalists, and advocacy groups. Then he waited, and the world listened. By morning, his phone was blowing up, thousands of likes, retweets, comments, people sharing their own horror stories. Some had even stayed at Azure Palms and faced the same treatment. Then came the journalists. Can we interview you? We'd love a statement. Do you have any evidence? By noon, travel blogs were picking up the story. By evening, news outlets were running with it. Then came the hashtags. #boycott Azure Palms, #racist resort, #Whitmore exposed. Then came the cancellations. Malik scrolled through the resort's social media pages, watching in real time as people blasted them in the comments. Was about to book. Not anymore. Never giving my money to a place that treats black guests like this. Disgusting. Do better. And then, an update. Whitmore's name started trending. Malik clicked a news article and nearly dropped his phone. Azure Palms Resort under fire for allegations of racial discrimination. General Manager Richard Whitmore placed on leave pending investigation. Tasha, reading over his shoulder, covered her mouth. Oh my God! Malik leaned back in his chair, a slow, satisfied breath filling his lungs. It wasn't everything. It wouldn't erase what had happened, but it was something. 2 days later, Malik and Tasha were at the airport, bags packed, waiting for their flight home. Malik scrolled through his phone one last time. Another update. Whitmore resigns amid backlash. Azure Palms issues apology. Malik exhaled, setting his phone down. Tasha looked at him. Feel better? He thought about it. The room they never got, the smug looks, the way security had dragged him away while everyone watched in silence. It still burned. But he also thought about the thousands of people who had spoken up, the people who had finally been heard. And Whitmore? He'd probably land on his feet somewhere else, but he wouldn't be doing it at Azure Palms. Malik turned to his wife, smiling for the first time in days. Yeah, he said. I do. As their flight was called, Malik took one last look at the island.